Welcome to the Yangtze River, a human geography story, created by the Ada Data team and presented by Brian Hochner, who also presented it at GeoInt 2022 in Denver. The Yangtze River is the largest river in China. It is the third largest in the world, and it is a symbol of the strength of economic and agricultural initiatives that the Chinese government has pursued in the last 30 years since opening up to the world economy. That said, it also represents the delicate balance that prosperity and environmental resources have had to play when building out this economic river belt and how that's affected the people in this economic river valley. So the economy of this entire region accounts for 50% of all the Chinese GDP, 15% of all global manufacturing, and it's the third largest economy in the world. So people say how California is the fifth largest economy. This would be the third. It is larger than Japan and Canada. It also makes up for 1/5 of China's overall area. And companies like Apple, Walmart, Nike, DuPont, H&M, I mean, if you have a computer or you have a cell phone, this river valley has affected you. You can see year after year you've had consistent growth across every province in the economic belt, with some benefiting far more than others, but it has been consistent growth nonetheless. So water usage is a major contributing factor to the resources side and the economic powerhouse angle of this region. So you're having a large level of population change. So you have one of the things that's happening in modern China is the move from rural communities to urban communities, and you're seeing that across the board, but particularly in the Yangtze River economic belt, because of the opportunities that being able to tame this river has put forward to different people who want to move to more industrialized cities for manufacturing hubs, certainly like the East. So something that academics have been interested in is the imbalance between water usage and GDP of the different regions of this river belt. So you can see here that industrial usage is way down in western China, whereas in eastern China, it still maintains similar levels and even is gaining some in places like Jiangsu, which are putting in more manufacturing. The inverse is clear with agricultural, where in the west you have larger farms that are using larger livestock, whereas in the east you aren't really using, you have smaller farms, smaller livestock. They still have, agriculture. They still have industrial farming, but not in the levels like in the West, where the West is, becoming. It's very, very rural, quite poor, but it is advancing, and agriculture is one of the main outputs from Western China. I think that with Ada Data's data that we put together, you can also see that with the total water supply, which doesn't paint a super clear picture of what is happening, but when we look at the individual charts, so industrial water usage, you can see that in the east, you're continuing to see growth with the water usage of industry, and almost the inverse is true with agricultural usage. And this is all in-house data that we've been able to put together to paint this picture. Now, all of this is possible with the creation of the Three Gorges Dam, the largest hydroelectric project on Earth. It protects the river. It stopped it from flooding, though it's caused a lot of disagreements amongst the Communist Party in China, whether either to implement it, which was the largest differentiation in Communist Party vote history, which is quite impressive for a single-party state. But then also the power and the construction that's been put on this river really affects the resource balance, and it affects the people who are living on this river. So you have 242 coal plants, 600 hydropower plants, and then I think a statistic that's always shocked me is that 7 out of every 10 cups of water being consumed in Beijing come from this river. It is, I would personally not swim in it. You can also see that the electricity consumption is also in an imbalanced state, like the agricultural and industrial water usage. You have a lot of the hydroelectric power being produced in the river happens in the western sides of the Three Gorges Dam, in Sichuan, Yunnan, and Hubei provinces, there's hundreds of dams, but a lot of the power generation is where the population is, Jiangxi, Shanghai, Anhui province. Um, so you do have, once again, this imbalance of power. But that said, with the growth of GDP across the board, you're also seeing an increase in the demand of these power usages. I mean, the Three Gorges Dam only creates 2% of all of China's electricity, which is far fewer than what they had originally anticipated when they built out the dam and when it was in the planning stages. So why this matters to a lot of the world. So you have the military component, which you have Wuhan's defense and aerospace hub. The biggest naval yard for the Chinese Navy is in Shanghai. And this is where they're creating their aircraft carriers, their destroyers, their submarines, which is highly impactful for any military watchers looking at the Chinese buildup of the Navy and possible movements in Asia. For the humanitarian side, there's 400 million people who live in this economic river belt, and they are becoming wealthier because of it. They are moving because of it, and they are impacting the ways that the Chinese economy operates because of their growth. On the economic side, 15% of global manufacturing, 174 cities that lie along this, including two of the largest ports in the world, with Shanghai and Ningbo. And then you also have the start of the Chinese Belt Road Initiative rail project in Chongqing, which, if completed, would connect China to Europe via railroads through Central Asia and Russia that would deliver Chinese goods far more effectively to Europe and the rest of the global continent than by sea. So this is a region that is incredibly important and should be continued to be studied. And I would like to thank you so much for watching. And this has all been created in-house by the Ada team. All of our graphs and our maps were created by us, and they did a fantastic job in doing this and presenting it. Thank you so much, and have a great day.